What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another DC Studios trailer breakdown and reaction. And today we are breaking down the trailer for Lanterns and look at the weeks ahead for Lanterns. And I believe this is like a trailer for episode 2 through 8. I believe that's how many episodes there are this season, which should take us into like October sometime. And yeah, week to week we'll be doing breakdowns for Lanterns, covering this show. And so far through episode 1, I am loving the show. I thought episode 1 was so well done. Great writing, great cast. Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart, Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan. So fucking good. There's a great mystery going on with aliens, so it's a sci-fi show. It's kind of like a cop detective show. It's really, really fascinating stuff. It's from Damon Lindelof, I believe, which is also the guy who did like the Watchmen HBO series, which was also really good. Regina King, Yahya Abdul-Mateen as Dr. Manhattan, which also, I think the Watchmen is technically DC, but you know, not James Gunn's DCU. But either way, this Lantern series looks so fucking good, and I am so shocked at how good it looks. And they released this trailer that's like a couple minutes long teasing the weeks ahead, and I think this looked really good as well. So why don't we jump on into this and start breaking down all the little details that we notice and how it could connect to James Gunn's DCU going forward.
Something is off here. I can feel it.
We got 4 dead aliens on a football field. Another one just blew up half the sheriff's station.
We got a case to work.
Jesus Christ almighty. Unclench. I get the feeling that everyone wants me gone. Were you talking about me?
Everything feels like it's about to explode for no good reason.
Everything feels like it's about to explode for no good reason. As like we see Hal back at that football field, but during the daylight now, and he's like, you know, something feels wrong with here. Like, I have a gut feeling that something's wrong here. And he walks by like the blood on the field, and like he really doesn't know what's going on. And John's like, we just had somebody blow up in the police station last night. We gotta go work this case. And he's like, God, you have to unclench your asshole. And John's just like, oh, what the fuck? But, you know, he also seems to walk into like this giant town meeting, and it seems like they were all just talking about him as they turn around. He's like, we all just talking about me. And the sheriff's up there like, yeah, fucking probably. And Will McCann and the wife is sitting next to him and gives him a dirty look. You fucking cowboy, fucking Yellowstone ass. Oh, such corrupt gangster cowboys out in the middle of Nebraska here. And my only experience with Nebraska, corrupt city. Fuck them. And I wasn't even in the city. I just got fucked over by one of the cops on my road trip out to LA. And video for that on the channel as well. Go check that out. But on to the next portion of this trailer.
I knew there was something about this place, and my gut is never wrong.
There's an interplanetary war criminal hiding here in Rushville.
What does this thing want?
We don't know. These aliens are gonna waltz into town. They're gonna blow up.
4 aliens are dead, and yet you linger.
I think you're hiding something on this property you don't want me to see. These weapons are too high-tech to be from around here.
One of the most dangerous beings to ever exist knows it has been found. You have 48 hours to identify the manhunter. No reason for innocent lives to be lost.
You're only gonna get one shot at this. Do not miss.
So the detective or the sheriff is telling him, you got one shot, don't fucking miss, boy. But I love at the beginning, he's talking to friggin' John, and he's like, listen, I have a feeling about this. My gut's never fucking wrong. So it feels like, you know, John is always following like his mind and like what the clues are leading him to, and Hal is following his gut, you know, and it's like the two polar opposite type of people, you know, like the book smart versus the street smart. You know, Hal's got all the street smarts, you know, but he's like, my gut's always right. And this season on Lanterns, you know, it seems like John is talking to him at that same bar maybe, and they're like, you know, briefing each other on what's going down. He's like, listen, there's an interplanetary threat going on here, and something's wrong. And it looks like Will McCann and this other guy is going to be maybe like rival gang members type of thing, like maybe rival families in town, and maybe one's aliens, one's like more mafia, and they're like, hey, those fucking corrupt bastards over there are doing some weird alien shit, fucking find them. But, you know, it looks like, you know, John and Hal are going to be maybe splitting up and working this case on their own, you know, and Hal's trying to do it his way and John's trying to do it his way type of thing. And Hal seems to go back to this ranch, and, you know, Will meets him at the gate and he's like, I think you're fucking hiding something on this ranch that you don't want me to see. And then they go into like this special room and there's guns all over the place, and he's like, yeah, no, these guns aren't fucking human. And then it looks like Hal pulls out a fucking dead body from the morgue and drags it all the way to the football field, which is just creepy as hell that like he's just dragging this fucking corpse. And then those other mafia guys that I was just talking about look to have pinned Jon Stewart down to the ground and inject some orange device into his temple, and they tell John, like, you only got 48 hours. There's no reason for innocent lives to get lost. So maybe he's like threatening people that John cares about if he can't find the manhunter. But so, you know, I believe this is from another trailer where we saw him walk up to Hal and he's like, what's a manhunter? He goes, where'd you hear that? So these guys must task John on finding manhunters, these aliens, and Hal's must know who these are, but John's like, I don't know who the fuck a manhunter is. So then they must have to regroup back together to solve this crime together, because John's got information that Hal doesn't have and Hal's got information John doesn't have. So like then the training will come back together. I don't know. I feel like they're going to be working together, but they're not going to be working together. But on to the next portion of this trailer.
Do you know who I am?
Your guardian. You are the founder of the Lanterns.
This is when most candidates ask, why me?
I know exactly why me.
What do you think of Hal Jordan?
I don't think about him.
He says that you are too weak to bear the massive power of the ring.
You know, the Guardian said you broke a vow.
It's above your pay grade, Junior.
First time I met Hal Jordan, he was in jail too. After the shit show the two of you put on.
I'm just trying to figure out if I can trust him.
You already know the answer.
Would you be comfortable replacing Hal Jordan?
It doesn't matter if I'm comfortable with it.
So Jon Stewart is being approached by Laura Linney, who I know from Ozark, and it seems like she's a guardian of the galaxy, or, well, that's a different James Gunn project, guardian of the globe or something. But either way, like the Guardians, who are like the bosses of the Lanterns, she's like, would you like to take the ring? And she thinks that like Hal thinks he's not ready. And also like this shot of like him talking about the Guardians of the Globe and like, you know, you're the boss of the Green Lanterns, as like we see a shapeshifter in front of a woman holding a baby, but that kind of looks like the same house as Jon Stewart as a kid. So maybe did the Guardians come to Jon Stewart as a child to make him a Green Lantern, and like, you know, maybe have they been watching him since he was a baby, you know, type of thing? I don't know, but like she's like, John's like, you're not ready for this, and he says that you can't handle the weight of the ring. You know, what do you think of Hal Jordan? He's like, I don't think of him, right? So clearly they got some beef going on, and you know, the Guardians want him to be the Lantern. Hal's not giving it up, you know, they must have beef with Hal. John says to Hal that like they said you have broken your vow, and he doesn't tell him like what that means. But they walk into this all white room and there's like lasers on the wall, and we see Guy Gardner talking to Jon Stewart with his goatee in a cell. So sometime in 2026, he's like, yeah, I talked to Hal Jordan. Last time I saw him, he was in a cell too. After you two fucked that shit up, had a shit show go on. As we then see like these lasers on the wall, you know, all pointing at something, and Hal puts a construct around John and him, protecting them. And John is asking Zoe, I gotta know if I can trust Hal, and she's like, you already know the answer to that, but maybe he's not talking about Hal, maybe he's talking about Will. And she's like, you absolutely cannot trust him. But then we cut to shots of like an alien planet, and I think this is maybe Mars or wherever the Manhunters are from, but I don't know if they're the Manhunters or if that's Martian Manhunter, right? Like, I know Martian Manhunter, I don't know if Manhunters are their own thing, but Martian Manhunter, John Jones, that's my guy. I need him. You know, and if he shows up in this show, oh, my fucking shorts will explode. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. But it looks like, you know, some great action is going to be going on. It's like they're on this alien planet, though, and John seems to pick up some skull that maybe doesn't look quite like a human skull. Or maybe it does, but why would it be on this alien planet? I don't know. And, you know, Laura Linney at the end of that clip, she's like, you know, would you be comfortable taking the ring from him or taking over Hal's spot? And he's like, comfort has nothing to do with it. You know, like he's like, I do my orders and that's all. Like I'm a soldier. I'm not a fucking man with opinions like Hal Jordan here. But on to the final portion of this look at the weeks ahead.
Killing a lantern would trigger a large response.
I don't need a sidekick. And the only way you're gonna get this ring is over my dead fucking body.
Jordan's actions have accelerated the inevitable.
There's more going on here than you realize.
The best thing you can do for all of us is just go.
If you want this job,
I'm gonna have to move you off the game board.
You think they're gonna let you keep the ring?
then go and get it.
Fascinating ending of that clip as like Hal sees a Rushville water tower blowing up and he seems to be by like maybe a helicopter or something. He looks all shocked. Jon Stewart tackling the guy at the back of a van and rolling into oncoming traffic. Will McCann is shirtless and he's like, killing a Green Lantern would have a big response. So if they kill a Green Lantern, they're worried more Green Lanterns will come and investigate what they got going on here. We then see kind of like a bat signal, but it's a Green Lantern signal as Guy Gardner comes and lands and talks to 2026 Jon Stewart. So, you know, two Green Lanterns or two Green Lantern and a Green Lantern in training having a conversation. You know, I don't know what that's about. Maybe that Hal Jordan... Maybe Guy Gardner has Hal Jordan's ring, though, so maybe that's what that's about. You know, maybe Jon Stewart will now have beef with Guy Gardner. But we see shots of Hal Jordan flying into the sky as laser beams kind of close in on Rushville and start just blowing up the town, as it looks like the multiple spots in town have already been hit. But like, where are these lasers coming from? It just looks like coming from the sky. They don't show an alien ship or whatnot. So like, who's doing this damage? Then we see Hal saying to Jon that like, if you want this ring, the only way you're getting it is over my dead body. As we then see like a dark planet with like a blue flame coming from the top of this building, as it looks like maybe this is 2006 Hal, so maybe we will see that flashback of Hal, and it looks like maybe Sinestro's screaming at him, so maybe that 2006 Hal broke a vow by like with Sinestro or something. I don't know, maybe they have some history that we'll find out. Sinestro screaming at him. It looks like Hal is pulled over by the sheriff and he has dead bodies in the car with him, and he's like, there's more going on here than you think. But like, why does he have bodies in the morgue and he's just driving them along? As we then see, it looks like Hal Jordan has like safety glasses on and this black cloud of smoke as like Jon Stewart's walking up to him, and he uses the ring to like send that black smoke with like a tornado construct up into the sky, and then it blows up. And then the sheriff looks at Hal like, it would be better if you just left, like you're causing nothing but problems here. But then we see maybe that same laser beam technology that was getting used on Rushville, as Will McCann has it pointed at that other mobster gangster boss that I was, you know, talking about, the guy that like told Jon Stewart to go get the Manhunters or else. But, you know, then we see Billy, you know, getting punched by Jon Stewart, and you know, it looks like these guys are right around the Green Lantern bat symbol thing, and maybe Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner fight these like hippies or something, or maybe Hal's there too, but I don't know. But it looks like John's gonna have a nice little fist fight in this. I really love the goatee on Aaron Pierre too. He really looks so good as Jon Stewart. But, you know, the Guardians of the Globe are like, you know, if you want the ring, you gotta go get it. As we see like a bunch of explosions happening and action scenes and the motel's blowing up, and John's like in a broken car, and he's like, you really think they're gonna let you keep the ring? As like a fucking little facility out in a field blows up. But then, you know, it looks like Laura Linney's Guardians is like telling Jon Stewart like, hey, you have my permission, go take that ring and become Green Lantern. And, you know, it looks like Jon is at the end of that in a all blue like prisoner outfit, and he seems to be having a fist fight with Hal Jordan. So maybe this is them fighting over the ring and like fighting to see who has it, as he like tosses him through a wall. And like, god damn, so this is still 2016, so maybe, you know, Hal and Jon have some beef at some point. But it looks like, you know, everyone in this town and all the cops have Jon Stewart at gunpoint as he's holding a backpack and the lantern. So maybe he stole the construct from Hal Jordan and broke out of prison, and then is just walking away as the cops surround him. And that's like the closing shots of this trailer, with him like kind of beat up in this like prison outfit. Fascinating. Like, I don't know how how we get to where we're gonna go in this season, but everything, literally every frame of this trailer seems fascinating, right? Like, I am so interested to finally get to see the remaining episodes for Lanterns, and I can't wait for episode 2. Comment below your thoughts about Lanterns. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I would love to hear your thoughts either way. Personally, I think Aaron Pierre is fucking perfect casting as Jon Stewart. I can't wait now to see him in Man of Tomorrow too. He's gonna be so perfect with that goatee. I just don't know if, like, the rule that there's only one Guardian or one Green Lantern on Earth, I feel like that's a dumb rule, you know, like, and I feel like by that logic, there shouldn't be Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, and Jon Stewart, but in all actuality, I would want all 3 of them. But if I can only get 2, because it looks like from the ending of episode 1 of Lanterns that Jon Stewart is going to be alive and looking for the killer of Hal Jordan, so I don't think Hal Jordan's going to be carrying on into the future of James Gunn's DCU, but I don't know, maybe we can get like a throwback movie to like back to the 80s when he was the Green Lantern, right? Because if by that logic, if Hal Jordan dies by gunshot wound or whatever in 2026 sitting on that bleachers, it was said in that little news 60 Minutes interview that he was Green Lantern, and like that interview was in 96, and it said that he was Green Lantern for 10 years before making himself known. So technically, Hal Jordan's Green Lantern has been Green Lantern from 1986 to 2026. So 40 years as being Green Lantern. I think maybe Hal Jordan had enough by the end, you know, maybe he was done being Green Lantern, but like we as an audience didn't get to see that whole 40 years. So I'm hoping throughout the show we get much more Guy Gardner flashbacks, and then by the end of the show we start to really transition into, okay, Jon Stewart is going to be the Green Lantern now. Let's tell more of his story, and then, you know, tie the 2 stories together, tie in how he died, tie in who the fucking aliens are, tie in who killed fucking Hal, who has the ring, you know, tie in the Guardians of the Globe with Laura Linney, Guy Gardner. There's so many elements to the show that seem fascinating. I love sci-fi, I love superheroes, I love like detective mystery shows. So this has mystery, it has aliens, it has superheroes, it has everything I could possibly want right now, and it's an HBO show with cursing and sex. Guys, this is like a 10 out of 10 for me. Genuinely, I think Lanterns is going to be awesome. I mean, this is only after 1 episode, but like, I am thoroughly shocked on how much I loved episode 1, and if this is the tone that they're setting for the rest of the show, I mean, maybe they fuck it up along the way, but if they just ride this wave all the way out to the finale, this is going to be a phenomenal show for me. But like I said, I would love to hear your thoughts about Green Lanterns in this series and like the look at the weeks ahead. What did you see in there that I didn't talk about? Is there any interesting little Easter eggs that you noticed? And I would love to hear all of your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below, or you can send them to my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. And once again, my name is Big Cam, and if you made it this far and you would like to support the channel further, the best way of doing that is dropping a like on this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future trailer breakdowns and future Lanterns breakdowns, and you'll get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name is Big Cam, and I'll see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace!